All right, welcome to the NBC Sports Soccer Pub edition of Bet the Edge. I'm Jay Croucher. In a second, I'll be joined by former US Olympic team captain and MLS star Brian Dunseth. We'll talk about his beloved Manchester United and their chances of knocking off my beloved Arsenal and Man City in the Premier League, and also their chances of winning the Carabao Cup on Sunday against Newcastle. And then we'll wrap the show by bringing in Brad Thomas and Drew Dinsick to talk about their favorite soccer bets this weekend. But let's welcome in Brian. Won't give the backstory on your nickname, Brian, which I enjoyed before. But Brian, you're working as an MLS analyst for Apple TV, co-hosting the Week in the Tackle podcast with our good friend, the incomparable Tom Rennie. So thanks for taking the time to join us. Let's start off by talking your Manchester United. It's been a bizarre 12 months for Man U. I think having the World Cup in the middle of the season has just distorted all sense of time, where it just doesn't feel real that, in the past 12 months, Cristiano Ronaldo was on this team. Ralf Rangnick was the coach of this team, which doesn't feel like something that actually happened. But all of a sudden now they're 5 points back of Arsenal in the Premier League. Do you think that this team has a realistic title chance?
I don't know how realistic the title chance is, considering Arsenal and Man City and what they've done so far this season. But then again, if I would have gone back to January, I would have said there's no way that Arsenal drops points and they're just going to be humming towards a title underneath Mikel Arteta. What I would say is what Erik ten Hag has done is pretty extraordinary when you go back to the whole conversation of who should replace Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, who should replace Ralf Rangnick, who should be the next guy coming through the doors. Should it be Antonio Conte? No, he's been poached. He's going to go to Tottenham after rejecting them initially. So is it a reality? It could be a reality. 5 points isn't that huge of a difference, considering what we've seen in the Premier League table and some of the hiccups some of the other teams have had. But I think if you would have asked any Manchester United fan at the start of the season, top four, challenge for a trophy, that would be more than acceptable underneath the first season with Erik ten Hag.
What's the main differences, I guess, that you've seen from Ten Hag in relation to, I guess, Rangnick, even though it was a short stay there, and Solskjaer? Obviously, he's doing some different stuff, playing Wout Weghorst as number 10 of all things, and he certainly seems to be getting the most out of Marcus Rashford as well.
I would say it starts with an identity, right? When you show up to the training pitch as a player, all you want to do is be exposed to something fresh, something new, something less repetitive, but you want clear-cut ideas. And it feels like when you watch Erik ten Hag's side that you see what they are trying to do, right? They're passing the litmus test of just what the eyeball test is. I would say it's also accountability, right? I've seen from the very beginning, he's been not afraid to give a little bit to the players, but at the same time, hold them extremely accountable. You go back to Garnacho in preseason, you go to the Cristiano Ronaldo situation, you go to Marcus Rashford situation where he overslept and missed the team meeting. I just think as a player, when you're looking for a leader, you want someone that you can believe in. And at the same time, holds every single person accountable. And I think that's what Erik ten Hag has shown. He's not afraid to make big decisions. He's not afraid to put an arm around the shoulder of a player in a time of need, like we've seen with Jadon Sancho. But at the same time, he can be very ruthless when it comes to the individual stepping out of bounds alongside the collective. So I think he's checked all the boxes. And I don't know if it's the playing with former Dutch players myself, but there's such a direct bluntness and almost honesty with the way that he approaches things. And I just go back to that Brentford loss when they were outrun in the 4-0 loss. And the next day he's showing up and he's putting in the miles with them. This is a collective as opposed to an individual. And I think if you go back and not naming names, but, listen, there's huge personalities that have been involved in Manchester United over the last, 6 seasons, say. And those personalities that aren't there now, you seem to find more of a collective balance amongst the group, even though there's still huge personalities in this collective.
Yeah, and I think talking about one of those personalities, and I think the guy who's kind of become the story of the season, that's Marcus Rashford. I think United are in a bit of a strange spot where I think, say, 3 seasons ago, this felt like Bruno Fernandes's team, and then it was Cristiano Ronaldo's team, and now all of a sudden it's Marcus Rashford's team. At least certainly he is the guy that everyone seems to be game planning for the most. He's the game breaker. Is it just the fact that he's playing with more confidence and he's been empowered by Ten Hag, or have you noticed anything different about Rashford this season?
I think also the conversation should include Benny McCarthy coming to Manchester United, and kind of the specializing in the movement inside the box and what it looks like, and just having another striker, an attacking player, a former prolific goal scorer with you every single day to give you tips or have little mini conversations, thinking about, shifting and moving, hips, balance, center balance, touch, inside, outside. How do you create a little bit more time and space? Listen, Marcus Rashford is an extraordinarily talented young man, and he has been, and even that much more extraordinarily talented off the field for what he's done over the course of the pandemic and for his community. I think it's the empowerment of being the guy, right? The fact that you think about, they don't have Edinson Cavani, they don't have Cristiano Ronaldo. You can't really trust Anthony Martial on a weekly basis because of the unfortunate injury situations that he continues to pick up after a few games when you think he's just in form. The situation with Marcus Rashford, where you felt like maybe he was the prolific number 9 for the future. I'm sorry, Mason Greenwood, the prolific number 9 for the future. I think for Rashford, it's trying to find his best position, right? Is he on the right? Is he on the left? Is he at point 9? With Weghorst dropping in, we've seen some movement as well. So I think it's rhythm, it's confidence. And I think outside of what the start of the season, or at least the first half of the season, looked like for Erling Haaland, now you're looking at Marcus Rashford in a form that is consistent in a season. I'm going to say short time of what we see a guy like Harry Kane being capable of doing it at Tottenham.
Yeah, it's been incredible to watch Rashford. I mean, last year he just seemed completely lost for stretches, and then as an Arsenal fan, thinking back to that 3-2 win recently that Arsenal had at the Emirates. I mean, Arsenal dominated that game, but Rashford was terrifying, and it felt like the game was always going to be alive, just mainly because of his presence on the pitch. Let's talk about the Carabao Cup, which I think the main storyline in this one is the Shawshank Redemption of Loris Karius. That's become the big story there. But Man United are also in the final. They are a pretty decisive favourite over Newcastle. Right now they're minus 167 to lift the cup. Newcastle plus 125. What are you expecting on Sunday?
I expect Eddie Howe to have Newcastle United as prepared as he possibly can. And I, like probably every Newcastle and Manchester United fan, the moment Nick Pope came flying off his line and that ball ended up instinctually being cuddled up underneath him and the straight red card shown, I thought, my God, he's out. He's out of the Carabao Cup final. And who is Eddie Howe going to turn to? I know there's so much confidence that the managers will place, even Jurgen Klopp having the conversation about Loris Karius. But it's hard not to look back and think about what this young man has gone through and the difficulties he's really struggled to find with regards to playing time and consistent playing time since his time at Liverpool. So, listen, I'm a huge Miguel Almiron fan from what he's done during his time at Atlanta United. It's been incredible to see what he's been able to, not a redemption by any means, because I think he's been in fantastic form, but the ability to score goals in particular this season. And for Newcastle United fans, I think you have to be incredibly excited about the direction, the financial backing, sidestepping whatever the moral minefield looks like with regards to the support for the club and the new ownership. But to see their ascent in such a short amount of time is really, really impressive, even though more recently a bit of hiccups. For Manchester United, I'm really intrigued to see how they come through tonight's match against Barcelona in Europa League. Short turnaround time, at least they're at home. And barring no injuries, I'm still always intrigued to see what the starting 11 looks like for Erik ten Hag, because I think there's always one or two surprises. Not that you're surprised that a certain player isn't a starting 11 caliber type of player, but the way he kind of decides to plug and play certain players in positions, and who gives him that tipping balance. With the loss of Christian Eriksen, it's hurt in the midfield. Casemiro picking up that silly red card, red mist with the hands around the neck against Crystal Palace. But I think Sabitzer has been a very strong replacement in the midfield. Fred, I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be a back heel, a chop, a Cruyff. and a tidy little finish, or a rush of blood with a hard tackle just outside the 18 in a recovery run. But looking forward to the weekend. And I think even though it doesn't have maybe the allure of an FA Cup type of feel, it's still a trophy, and trophies do matter.
Yeah, I'm pro Fred for the record. I think he brings more to the table.
Of course you are.
I like Fred. All right, well, Brian, thanks so much for taking the time. Can you let people know where to follow you and find your content?
Yeah, on Instagram at Brian Dunseth, SiriusXM with our friend Tom Rennie every Friday on Grumpy Pundits. We also do our podcast, Week in the Tackle. And starting this weekend, I'll be with Max Bredos on Apple TV. We start our game, Portland Timbers against Sporting Kansas City, to kick off the 2023 MLS season.
Nice one. And I won't make you do it, but for the listeners and viewers, Brian's got the best American-Australian accent that I've heard of Robert Downey Jr. in Tropic Thunder. So congratulations on that as well. Thanks for your time, Brian.
And, best Appreciate it, man.
Cheers. Thanks. All right. A reminder to download the RotoWorld app to receive breaking player news all season long. Stay ahead of the competition by favoriting players on your roster. Get the latest injury updates, player news, and much more delivered right to your phone. It's available in the App Store today. All right, let's bring in Drew Dinsick and Brad Thomas, two guys who can't do an Australian accent. Brad, let's get started with what's your best bet of the weekend in the Premier League?
Yeah, I'm going to the Leicester City versus Arsenal match, and I'm backing Arsenal team total over 1.5 goals. It's a little juice, so you're going to have some juice tolerance in this one, but I like that a little bit better than Arsenal money line. I don't think that Arsenal go to Leicester and they keep a clean sheet. So if they want to win this one and they want to keep their lead, they're going to have to pay the price and score 2 goals. And why I like this, we know Leicester City's defense and their back line has been some issues. They do see a little improvement at home, but Leicester actually are in the bottom 4th in defensive allowed carries in the final third. What that means is Arsenal will spend a lot of time in that final third, attacking third, with players like Bukayo Saka, Odegaard, Martinelli, or Trossard, whoever's in the match at that time. They're just so deadly, and they can score so often when they're getting those opportunities. Another play that's kind of correlated to that, the lines are not out yet, but I want you guys to make sure you guys have this circled on your betting sheet. It's going to be Bukayo Saka to have a shot on target with his left foot. It might be a knock on Saka. He refuses to shoot with his right foot. There's times when he probably could shoot with his right foot and score, but he switches over to the left. It's going to be plus money or around minus 110. I think it's a good way to cut down the juice on a shot on target.
Okay, I like that. Drew, what do you got?
I'm going to stick with the theme a little bit here. We have the better team on the road, unable to keep a clean sheet, and that is looking at Liverpool to Crystal Palace and getting a goal on their own, which I think we can all agree is likely. Both teams to score yes in the Crystal Palace-Liverpool match is right now minus 125. I'm leaning a little bit on how poor the defense looked for Liverpool in that Champions League match against Real Madrid. Of course, Madrid has much more scoring power than Crystal Palace, but they didn't even really play that great of a game. They got on the score sheet 5 times there. So realistically, I think Jurgen Klopp's going to be looking for answers. The problem is with the health issues that they have in the defense right now at Liverpool, there's not really any answers to be had across the reserves for that squad. So even if they are reaching and they're trying some different lineups, particularly on the backside there could be some miscommunication. Alisson certainly is not goaltending with confidence right now. And I think Crystal Palace, extremely hungry to get their first win of 2023, will come out with some aggressiveness. I like the potential for guys like Eberechi Eze to get on the score sheet here. He's been kind of quiet, but I think he's sort of the igniting piece here for Palace to put a little bit of pressure on Liverpool. And just a little bit of an interesting nugget for you. It has been 12 out of the last 14 matches for Liverpool that they have conceded a goal in the first half, which means this is probably going to be not conceded a goal, but there's been a goal in the first half. So this is probably going to open up wide open relatively early here. So both teams to score yes, minus 125 looks like a fair bet to me.
Wow, look at Drew coming with the soccer fire. Very good.
Yes, that was great.
Right now, the Liverpool just seems to be completely broken. It's not just the Real Madrid game. It's the fact that when Newcastle went down to 10 men, Liverpool couldn't do anything. against them. And I think that the approach that they showed against Real Madrid, just the kamikaze of having both fullbacks basically playing as wingers and just being totally exposed on the break. It seems like Klopp, that's just the way that he wants to continue to play, even with lacking all the rhythm that they are at the moment. So I suspect that Palace, they should be able to score at least once. And you would expect Liverpool, even as uninspiring as they have been, there's just still so much talent, and they'll find their way into a goal. My best bet this weekend is taking under 2.5 in Leeds, Southampton. This is looking at the new manager bounce. My man Javi Gracia has come in for Jesse Marsh. He's going to bring a bit more of a defensive mindset. And I think that Southampton, unless James Ward-Prowse is going to score 3 by himself from free kicks, they're going to struggle to score against the Leeds team, which has been a little bit better defensively of late anyway. And I think with Gracia in town, that they will very much play to try and keep a clean sheet, and Leeds in attack. While they've definitely got some upside, they've lost their way a little bit there too. So I'm expecting a low-scoring game there. All right, gentlemen, that'll wrap us up. From myself, Jay Croucher, Drew Dinsick, and Brad Thomas, thanks again to Brian Dunseth for joining us. Don't forget to check out NBCSportsEdge.com for more information to help you with your wagers. Thanks to those watching on the NBC Sports YouTube channel. And if you're listening to us in podcast form, don't forget to subscribe and rate us. We'll be back tomorrow.